Is your cast on looking like this? Today I will show you several ways to knit ribbing that stays perfectly flat. The last one is my favorite. Let's begin with the first method. It will require you to have a cast-on rack, so if you don't have one, I will leave a link to a video where I explain how to make it. First, make sure the racking handle is in its highest position. Take an eyelet with waste yarn and slide the lock to the left. Set both locks to end the stitch size to 4.5 and insert the orange strippers. Now raise the kneaded needles and arrange them for the desired rip. All of the methods shown in this video will work with all rip arrangements. Make sure the needle rule is observed, place the edge springs on the last working needles and lower the front bed. Now take the cast-on rack and attach it to the hooks of the needles on the front bed only. You may need to attach weights to the cast-on rack. Raise the front bed and knit one row. Clear the row counter and set the front lock to GX. Leave the eyelet in the color changer and knit 2 rows without yarn. All stitches on the back bed have to drop. Clear the row counter, set the front lock to end, then set the stitch size to 3 on both sides of the lock. Move the lock to the color changer, take the main yarn and knit 1 row. Set both locks to CX and increase the stitch size to 4. Now knit 2 rows. Set both locks to end and increase the stitch size to 5. Now knit 1 row to finish the cast on. Clear the row counter and set the stitch size for the main stitch size for knitting the rib. Now knit until the rib becomes the desired length. This is what it should look like. You can either cut or unravel the row of waste yarn, and you will be able to reuse your cast-on rack in the future. This is the final result. And as you can see, we have a perfectly flat rib. Now it's time to show you my favorite method. First, make sure the racking handle is in its highest position. Raise the kneaded needles and arrange them for knitting a rib. Make sure the needle row is observed and the edge springs are on the last working needles. Set both locks to end and the stitch size to 3. Insert the orange strippers. Take an eyelet with waste yarn and knit 1 row. Set both locks to CX and increase the stitch size to 4. Now knit 2 rows. Set both locks to end and increase the stitch size to 5. Now knit 1 row to finish the cast on. Clear the row counter and knit 10 rows without changing the settings of the locks. Clear the row counter, then set both locks to CX. Move the lock to the color changer, take an eyelet with travel cord or another color waste yarn and knit 2 rows. Clear the row counter, then set both locks to end and the stitch size to 3. Move the lock to the color changer, take the eyelet with the main yarn for the project, then knit 1 row. Set both locks to CX and increase the stitch size to 4. Now knit 2 rows. Set both loops to N and increase the stitch size to 5. Now knit 1 row to finish the cast on. Clear the row counter and set the stitch size for the main stitch size for knitting the rib. Now knit until the rib becomes the desired length. This is what it should look like. First, snip the contrasting color yarn as shown in the video. Now pull both ends of the yarn and you will be able to remove the waste yarn from the knitted piece. This is very satisfying. Everything you're left with now is a perfectly flat ribbing. Do you know more methods to knit ribbing that is not wavy? Tell me in the comments below. If the ribbing is already knitted and it's looking like this, you may try to save it. First, take a strong thread or unravel cord. I'm using very strong thread for sewing shoes. It can't be torn by hand and it is sleek so it can easily be threaded and pulled out later. Insert the cord into the cast on row using a blunt needle as shown in the video. Now give the stitches a stretch along the length of the piece. This should be enough to fix the cast on row. Now take one of the ends and pull out the cord. This is the final result. It's not looking perfect as in the previous examples, but I bet that it will get better after the next wash. That's all for today. Have a nice day and see you in my next video.